This is an extremely tragic true story. 39 people were trapped inside a tunnel and were eventually burned alive by a massive fire. Among them was a mother who had no time to escape. When the fire spread rapidly through the tunnel, she could only hold her 9-year-old son tightly in her arms. In the end, their bodies were burned into charred remains. When firefighters finally arrived at the scene, the sight was heartbreaking and devastating. The disaster happened on March 24, 1999, at the entrance of the tunnel connecting France and Italy. A heavy truck carrying 9 tons of butter and 12 tons of flour had just passed the French toll station and was heading toward Italy through the 11.6-kilometer-long tunnel, which at the time was considered one of the longest tunnels in the world. However, when the truck reached the center of the tunnel, its engine suddenly caught fire. The driver, Gilbert, tried to use a fire extinguisher to put out the flames. Moments later, the truck exploded. The explosion ignited the butter and flour inside the truck, turning them into powerful fuel that spread the fire rapidly through the tunnel. Seeing the situation becoming uncontrollable, Gilbert ran toward the Italian exit and managed to survive. Unfortunately, the vehicles behind him on the French side were not so lucky. They were trapped deep inside the tunnel as the fire and thick smoke quickly spread toward them. The intense heat and toxic gases caused engines to fail, forcing many drivers to abandon their cars and try to escape on foot. But most of them could only run a few hundred meters before collapsing and dying from the flames and suffocating smoke. Some people tried to survive by entering emergency shelters built inside the tunnel. The tunnel had shelters every 600 meters, each equipped with a safety door designed to withstand temperatures of up to 800 degrees Celsius. However, the temperature during the fire soon rose to an unimaginable 1,200 degrees Celsius, making survival impossible. Even those who reached the shelters eventually lost their lives. At the same time, firefighters from the French side arrived quickly and attempted to enter the tunnel, but the terrifying heat waves and continuous explosions forced them to retreat. The flames were so powerful that rescue efforts had to be temporarily abandoned. The fire continued burning for 2 days. It was not until the afternoon of March 26 that firefighters were finally able to enter the tunnel. What they discovered inside was horrifying. The entire tunnel was destroyed, with many cars burned down to their metal frames. Bodies were scattered everywhere, and those who had tried to hide in shelters were reduced to lifeless, hardened remains. The center of the tunnel looked like a living hell. Tragically, no one trapped inside had survived. In total, 39 people died in the disaster. Interestingly, most of the vehicles entering from the French side were severely affected, while many drivers closer to the Italian side survived because that end of the tunnel was at a higher elevation, causing much of the smoke and fire to move toward France. After the investigation, the truck driver Gilbert was sentenced to 4 months of labor, while 12 officials from the tunnel management company received prison sentences ranging from 2 to 6 months. The tunnel company was also ordered to pay $17 million in compensation to the families of the victims. Following this tragedy, many countries reviewed and improved their tunnel safety systems, adding stricter fire prevention measures, better ventilation systems, and stronger emergency shelters. Thankfully, since then, there has not been another tunnel disaster of this scale. Still, this heartbreaking event remains a powerful reminder of how fragile life can be, and we can only hope that no one watching or hearing this story will ever experience such a terrible tragedy.